What's happening, YouTube? Anthony on Power Rangers Lost the Galaxy FanFilm with a brand new PRLostGalaxy2014 review. And today we are taking a look at our last Mighty Morphin Power Ranger from Super 7 Ultimates Mighty Morphin Power Rangers line with Billy, the original Blue Ranger, with both his Season 1 and Season 2 heads, where one with the glasses and one without them, and every other accessory that Billy had over the course of his 3 years as the original Blue Ranger. And if also including Once and Always and Power Rangers Cosmic Fury. So now we have, since we've covered Tommy in green and white, red, yellow, black, and pink, all that leaves now is Billy to complete the entire set. And I've totally got the Mighty Morphin Rangers out of the way, and then next time cover the villains, and hopefully I will get Bulk and Skull up and running in the video series if I ever get the chance to get them as well. So Billy Cranston. Okay, so we've already covered Kimberly and Catherine as pink, Adam and Zach in black, Rocky and Jason in red, Trini and Aisha in yellow, Tommy in his green and white forms, and knowing Billy was blue for 3 years straight. So okay, so now we have everybody for MMPR done from Super 7. So here's the front of the package and what he looks like with all his accessories, including that one weapon he used in the Grumblebee episode of Season 1, if you remember, this thing, whatever that device was that he had, with all the accessories, with the two different versions of the Power Lance, just like the Lightning Collection release. And then we turn the back of the box showing a render of the Blue Ranger, and then the background about Billy being the brains of the Rangers, and the very useful one of the group, and no wonder that's why he came up with Cranston Tech in the 30th anniversary special. Gotcha. So with that out of the way, as our last Mighty Morphin Power Ranger in the Super 7 line of figures from them themselves, let's bring on the Triceratops, later Blue Ninja Ranger. And if there's one thing I would like to quote, it's time for oh damn, how did he say it in that episode, in that Halloween episode? It's time for molecular transmutation, something like that, Okay, now that we have Billy, the Blue Ranger, out of the package, we're going to go through all of his accessories one by one, and then we'll do the figure. But he's already stacked up with the entire team, so the gang's all here. So the accessories he came with was these silver retro plate, these retro looking versions of the Power Lance from like the original toys. So you have that accessory. I mean, I don't know why, but just as a throwback to how they had him back in the day. You got the smaller versions of the Power Lance, but they don't come together. They're just like these two mini lances, but the long one is already in his hand, so we'll take a look at that Power Lance later. So you have these, and I do like how they're nicely painted and well done, up to par to what we had in the Lightning Collection for that one, but this is Super 7. This weapon he used, again, in the Grumblebee episode. What's the name of this device? Again, I know the episode, and I know the name, but it's just, again, I haven't watched Power Rangers in a while. Rewatching all the seasons, and going back to Season 1. But I know that Billy had this when he fought Grumblebee, I believe, in that episode. So you have that weapon and that accessory to call back on from that episode when he fought the Grumblebee monster. Power Crystal for when he summons his Triceratops Zord to when activating into the Megazord. So we have all 5 Mighty Morphin Rangers Power Crystals from Season 1 for the Dino Megazord only. Then you have all these interchangeable hands, so some of them I've already swapped out, and you have those hands to switch from for Billy, but they're all the same, so just multiple stock hands to have for any of the Rangers, really. Then also yet another throwback to the 90s with the white, the unpainted Blade Blaster from the original 90s toy, particularly from the flip heads from back in the day. And then these Blade Blaster accessories like we saw for the original 5 Rangers, for the rest of the other OG 5 Rangers, and they all have the Power Rangers name on the sides, just like in the toys. But I think if I would go and say, but Super 7 did a better job doing these Blade Blaster accessories on these figures as opposed to Hasbro for the Lightning collection, I'm sad to say. So they did a better job on this department with the Blade Blasters. What they also did a good job on, but although sometimes not so really, is the civilian heads for Billy. So Billy, his likeness with David Yost as the character as usual is on full display. Now at first I was keen about this head sculpt from his seasons 2 and 3 and Zeo appearance, but at first I thought this didn't look like Billy. It looked like somebody else, like Luke Wilson or that guy from the X-Files, David, what's his name? I know his name, but still. But it almost looked like him, or looking a little bit like David Schwimmer from, Ross from Friends, almost, if he was the Blue Ranger. But again, this is definitely David Yost's likeness on this head, and also as well as this one. Now, however, the glasses on Billy for the Season 1 head does not come off. It just stays on there, but I even definitely also like with the Lightning Collection, Mighty Morphin Blue Ranger with this particular Billy head and his Season 1 appearance with glasses, they don't come off. So you can try and get these glasses off, but these stay on because they reflect on Billy's beginning back in the day, back when the show started in Season 1. And then his Power Morpher, last but not least, his Power Morpher, you get some blue, but it also looked a little bit purple, but hey, I'm not going to complain. And you can get a good glimpse at the Triceratops power coin a little bit there. So you have the Morpher and the head. So now we got everything for Billy and as the Blue Ranger. So the Power Lance, I had to put them together, so we got the full-size Lance. So there you go. And they can also come off and have the more extended versions of the Lance as well. And lastly, let's take a look at the Mighty Morphin Blue Ranger. And he's great. I mean, I really do like the shade of blue, perfect shade of blue. That's the thing with the Mighty Morphin suits. They had like the perfect shade of everything. Perfect shade of white, perfect shade of color, perfect balance of color, and white. And then, of course, the iconic diamond shapes and everything. Because, I mean, I know everybody loves to brag about MMPR. I know, too. I do, too, sometimes. Even though I realize there are other Power Rangers. But as far as most people is concerned, there isn't anything but the originals. But yeah, I really like the way how Mighty Morphin Blue came out. Probably a little bit way better than Hasbro's Lightning Collection effort from 2020, 2021. And I really didn't, and I guess, the remaster, we'll wait until I do the remaster figures later. But Super 7 did a really good job on these figures, although they're not perfect, but they are probably, like, if I would go ahead and rank these collector grade Mighty Morphin figures I have, I would definitely want to put the Lightning Collection at first, this second, and the Legacy figures last. Because, like, we have so many different renditions of MMPR over the years for kids and adults, and I'm like, I actually think the Super 7 figures, if I would go ahead and put this in ranking for what is my favorite collector grade Mighty Morphin figure set, I would have to put this somewhere at number 2. Lightning Collection is still number 1, despite that, yeah, that collection was not perfect, but we almost had everything. So I'm going to have to put this set of Mighty Morphin Power Ranger figures at number 2 by Super 7. The Legacy figures, the Legacy Collection Mighty Morphin at number 3. And then the 1995 movie Legacy figures from 10 years ago at number 4. So that's like so many collector grade Mighty Morphin Power Ranger figures I've now owned in the last 10 years since 2015. And 2025 have come a long way. Okay, so let's take a look at the Blue Ranger's articulation, and then we are really done with MMPR until I do Villains, Bulk and Skull, and the Megazords later. Okay, as for his head articulation, up and down, turn around, but you can't move the neck. You gotta be careful with the arms on this one, because when I was playing it with a little bit, this arm did come off because, again, these figures are not like that. So yeah, you can raise the arms up and then spin the arms around. But also, like my Legacy collection figure from back in the day, the Blue Ranger sadly has that loud squeaking sound, and that is very irritating. And even in 2025, it's still irritating. You can turn the abdomen left and right, but you can't turn it all around. Nope. But you can do some. Well, the abdomen crunch is a little bit limited because I don't know what was they doing when they did Billy. Like, come on, man. This is a really well-made figure, and I really like the way how they did the helmet on this one. But they just really, like, come on, the limitations on his joints and everything. Elbow crunch is just like every other Super 7 Mighty Morphin Ranger. And then elbow crunch on this arm. You can't, I don't think, can tilt the hand joints, so no, can't do that. But it worked for the Yellow Ranger because, Saber-Tooth Tiger and all that. But this is Triceratops. His legs, I'm having a hard time lifting up on this one. But you can do, again, the split, but you just can't, get this all the way up because I'm scared I'm going to break the joints off the legs. So I got to be careful on that because, man, even for this review, some of the joints on his figure is a little tight. But if I just toy around with it, get that tightness out, maybe that'll be fine. And then his leg, now his knee crunch, I had to be careful because I was scared. Even on this leg, I was scared for, even when I was doing his signature Triceratops pose with his arms out and everything, that I was scared to break this leg even when bending. So you got the knee crunch on both legs, all right. You can turn the lower legs around all directions. Try to get the tightness all out of it, so that way it doesn't feel too tight. And then you can pivot the feet, but ankle pivot, unfortunately, yeah, you can get some ankle pivoting going on this figure like all the other ones. That is it for my reviews on the Super 7 Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the team. So now that we got them all, and so now overall, looking at these Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, now that I got them all at once in 1 month, as of this recording, I'm surprised I got everybody from MMPR. I mean, wait until I finish up the Lightning Collection, as of this recording, when I get the Green Ranger somehow. And I really think that Super 7, they were not perfect with their figures of Power Rangers, but I have to admit, I'm glad I completed this collection. But there's more to come. You got the villains still to do, and Bulk and Skull, and the Megazords. So now that we got everybody, I've completed the set. I got everything, and I think these are basically the kind of Mighty Morphin Power Ranger figures we all wanted back in the 90s, but never did, because there was no way they can do action figures like this again back in 1993 to 1995 at all. But I'm happy we got this figure set. So this is definitely one of my favorite Power Ranger figure sets, let alone MMPR figure sets, because the action figures we had over the decades prior to Hasbro and this, and even with Playmates, I'm afraid, even though Playmates' toys are really for kids, but I have to admit that this is a really well spot on, but though by any means not perfect, line of collector grade Mighty Morphin Power Rangers I have ever seen. So this is basically hard to call about if this is better than the Lightning Collection or not. I mean, the Lightning Collection was good too, but it's just these figures kind of do feel like improvements. But though the difference is these figures are very fragile, and even though the bottom of the boxes say they're collectible, adult collectibles, not toys to play around with too much, because given the joints are going to break off and stuff, so that's why I have to be wary about this. But again, these were alright MMPR figures. I really dig it a lot. So Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the team is complete from Super 7. Thank you, Super 7, for these line of figures. I kind of wish y'all did the other seasons like Zeo, Turbo, and his space, but it makes sense. Mighty Morphin is going to make more money. So that's it for my review. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, drop a like, share this video with your friends. I'll see you guys next time with a brand new review, whether it be Power Rangers, Transformers, Marvel, Star Wars, and the like of my channel to come.